Outworld is a wound stitched together by power and lies, and now the blood begins to flow again. Shang Tsung crawled through the black sands of the wastes, his limbs shaking, his pride shattered. The island had fallen, crumbled into the sea like an offering to the gods he no longer believed in. The Earthrealm champions had won. Worse, they had humiliated him. The souls he had harvested hissed within him, restless, confused. They could feel it too. His master's wrath was near. Above him, the sky opened in violent green flame. Shao Kahn emerged through the veil, not walking, but towering, his flesh cast in obsidian armor and ancient scars. The air cracked with his breath. His hammer, heavier than death, hung at his side. "Failure," the emperor said, the word thick with disgust. Shang Tsung bowed his head into the sand, teeth grinding. "Spare me," he whispered. Khan circled him like a predator, deciding whether to feed. "You let the mortals break the cycle. You allowed the thunder god's puppet to touch the divine. You were once a master of deception. Now you beg like a dog." "I can fix this," Shang Tsung gasped. "Give me another tournament, not in Earthrealm, in Outworld, on our ground." Shao Kahn narrowed his eyes. "There," Shang Tsung continued, "Raiden cannot protect them. There your will is law. Lure them in with their victory. Let them believe they've won. Then crush them." For a long moment the emperor said nothing. Then slowly, a cruel grin pulled across his face. "Rise, sorcerer," he said. Power flooded through Shang Tsung's body. Age reversed. Bones straightened. His skin glowed with unnatural youth. He screamed, in pain, in ecstasy, in rebirth. The souls inside him roared. "Let the realms tremble," Shao Kahn said. "The next Mortal Kombat will be mine." Far away across the void between worlds, Raiden stirred, and the storm began again. Some victories do not heal. They scar. The temple burned incense to the old gods, but Liu Kang could not smell it. His senses had dulled since returning from Shang Tsung's island, as though he'd left part of himself in that arena of fire and death. He knelt beneath the open sky of the Wu Shi Academy, surrounded by silence. The disciples did not approach him. They sensed the change. The monk who had once laughed with them, who sparred without anger and taught with humility, had returned different. He had tasted blood and found it bitter. Master Bo Rai Cho watched from the shadows, his expression unreadable. He had trained Liu Kang since boyhood, shaping his fists and mind alike. Now even he seemed unsure what his pupil had become. "You defeated a sorcerer who fed on souls," the master finally said. "Yet you look like the one who lost." Liu Kang opened his eyes. "I did what I had to." "And what did it cost?" Liu Kang did not answer. He looked down at his hands, still strong, unshaking, but they had taken lives. Raiden appeared with the thunder's whisper, materializing beneath the monastery's great bell. His robes moved without wind, and his eyes shimmered with immortal knowing. "They are gathering again," the thunder god said. Liu Kang stood. "Where?" "Outworld," Bo Rai Cho cursed under his breath. "Then it is a trap." Raiden nodded. "Yes, but we must go. If we refuse, Shao Kahn will use our defiance to justify invasion. He has waited centuries for such an excuse." "And the others?" Liu Kang asked. "I have summoned them," Raiden replied. "Sonya, Johnny Cage, Jax, Sub-Zero. They will come." Liu Kang's brow furrowed at the name. "Sub-Zero is dead," he said. Raiden said nothing. Liu Kang stepped forward, voice low. "I saw Scorpion kill him." Raiden's eyes narrowed, as if watching the edges of reality fray. "Then perhaps you will see what lies beyond death," he said. "In Outworld, even the dead walk." A chill passed through Liu Kang. The war had not ended. It had merely changed its battlefield. Some roads are chosen, others are demanded by fate. Sonya Blade hated magic. She hated how it made the air feel. Charged, unnatural. She hated the way it bent time, pulled her across worlds like a rag doll. But most of all, she hated that she had to rely on it to do her job. The portal closed behind her with a flash of violet light, and the outworld air struck her like ash. Beside her, Johnny Cage adjusted his sunglasses. Though there was no sun in sight, only a sky of swirling red clouds and distant screams. "Well," he muttered, Vacation's over. Jax landed with a thud behind them. His cybernetic arms gleamed, still dented from their last mission. He scanned the twisted jungle ahead. Trees made of bone, leaves like razor blades. "We were just here," Sonya said. "Didn't we win?" "No," came a voice behind them. Raiden stepped forward, his presence immediate. The storm flickered in his eyes. "You survived. That is not the same." He motioned, and the Earthrealm warriors followed him into a clearing where Liu Kang already waited. Silent, statuesque, his fists resting on his knees. Raiden did not waste time. "Outworld has opened the gate again," he said. "Shao Kahn demands a second tournament, one held beyond Earthrealm's protection. He claims the first was flawed." "He's stalling," Jax said. "Buying time." "No," Raiden replied. "He is baiting us." Johnny crossed his arms. "And we're taking it?" "We must," Liu Kang said. His voice was calm but sharp, like a blade unsheathed. "If we refuse, he will claim our dishonor, and the war will begin." Raiden stepped between them, his tone grave. "There are new fighters in this realm. Assassins, shapeshifters, beings twisted by dark science. And there are others." Sonya tilted her head. "Like what?" Raiden looked toward the horizon, where the jagged towers of Outworld's palace loomed. "Like ghosts," he said. "Some familiar, some born from our own sins." The wind rose suddenly. A new portal opened, green and unstable. Raiden turned to his champions. "If we fall here, Earthrealm will not be conquered. It will be consumed." The first step was always the hardest, but they took it. Together they crossed into war. Power does not ask, it commands. Shao Kahn sat upon his obsidian throne, surrounded by silence that bent beneath the weight of his breath. Around him, the palace of Outworld stood like a monument to conquest. Spires of bone, banners stitched from the skin of fallen kings, and torches burning with soul fire. He held no court. He needed no counsel. His will was the law of this realm. Before him knelt his generals. Baraka, snarling behind rows of teeth. Reptile, motionless but coiled like a predator. And Melina, her gaze veiled beneath beauty and madness both. Behind them stood Shang Tsung, reborn and smiling, the mask of servitude hiding his ambition like a knife beneath cloth. "Earthrealm comes," the Emperor said. No one dared speak. "I offered them a second chance," he continued. They accepted. Like insects crawling into a flame, thinking it salvation. He rose, the floor trembled. "I will break their gods, I will shatter their champions. I will take their realm not by war, but by rule. Let them believe they fight for justice. Let them believe the game is fair." He turned to Melina. "You will watch Kitana. She has become thoughtful." Melina smiled with lips that did not hide her teeth. "And if she betrays us?" she asked. "Then rip her to pieces," he said. He turned to Baraka. "Guard the gates. No one enters the palace without bleeding." Then he looked to Reptile, his voice colder. "Find the sorceress Tanya. I want her loyalty ensured." At last his gaze fell on Shang Tsung. "You failed me once," Shao Kahn said. "I will not fail again," the sorcerer replied. "I have already prepared the arena. The Earthrealmers will face challenges beyond their comprehension. They will break." The Emperor stepped close. "They had better." He turned, raising his hammer into the air. "Soon," he growled, "they will kneel. And I will hear them beg." A gong sounded deep in the fortress. The tournament had begun. Vengeance does not sleep, it waits in fire. Hell had no end, only turning corridors of pain, each one older than time. In its depths, Hanzo Hasashi burned, not once but forever. He had died dishonorably, betrayed, murdered, and cast into the netherrealm, where demons clawed at his soul and memories poisoned his rest. He remembered their faces, his wife, his son, their final screams, and he remembered him, Sub-Zero, the Lin Kuei assassin who had slaughtered them all. Hanzo's rage was the anchor that kept him whole. Even as flesh melted from his bones and reformed in fire, even as he screamed through a mouth no longer his, the rage endured. It grew teeth. It grew purpose. Then came the voice. It was not a whisper but a tearing, as if existence itself bent to let it speak. "You seek vengeance," it said. Hanzo's eyes opened, black within gold. "You may have it." From the pit of torment rose a figure clad in shadow and bone. A demon. No, something worse. Something ancient. It wore many faces, none of them its own. Its name was lost even in the tongues of the damned. But it called itself a benefactor. It made an offer. Freedom, power, resurrection, and a mask. Hanzo took it, not out of trust, but need. When he donned the mask, fire wrapped his body like a second skin. The past burned away. Only one thing remained. Scorpion. He rose from the nether realm like a curse given form. Back in Outworld, rumors whispered of a specter walking the wastes. Warriors turned to ash in his wake. His eyes burned brighter than torches. His chains sang like steel in mourning. And he hunted one name, always the same. Sub-Zero. Sometimes vengeance is inherited, and sometimes it chooses you. Kuai Liang moved like winter through the jungle, silent, icy, deadly. He had taken the mantle reluctantly, not because he feared it, but because it had belonged to his brother. The world had known Bihan as Sub-Zero, the Lin Kuei's most feared assassin, ruthless, efficient, loyal only to the mission, but the mission had failed, and Bihan had not returned. The Lin Kuei elders spoke of betrayal. Rumors claimed his killer was a specter born of flame, a ghost wrapped in chains. Scorpion. Kuai Liang did not seek justice. He sought understanding, and, if necessary, revenge. He had trained since childhood in the shadow of Bihan's legend. Now he stepped into it, not as a copy, but as a second blade drawn from the same steel. In Outworld, the terrain shifted beneath his feet. The world bled 1,000 colors, its logic bent. Trees breathed, mountains moved, beasts howled in languages long dead, and everywhere he turned, warriors clashed like storms. But Kuai Liang had a singular path. He was here for one purpose. He reached a valley carved from black ice, his own creation, drawn forth by instinct rather than will. He knelt and pressed his fingers into the frost, reading it like a language. Footsteps, burn marks. He was close. That night, as Outworld's twin moons bled red into the clouds, Kuai Liang met a man at the edge of a ruined temple. The figure wore a skull-like mask. His body shimmered with fire beneath tattered robes. His voice was smoke. "Bihan is dead," Scorpion said. "I made it so." Kuai Liang did not speak. He unsheathed the dagger made of pure ice. Scorpion raised his chain. No words, no oaths, just fire and frost. And all that stood between them burned or shattered. They fought like reflections of vengeance. And in the end, neither fell. Only the truth did. Loyalty without question is not loyalty. It is slavery. Princess Kitana moved through the palace halls like a blade unsheathed. Graceful, silent, deadly. Her face wore serenity, but her mind was a battlefield. 10,000 years she had served Shao Kahn. She had led his armies, spilled blood in his name. But in the quiet hours when the war drums fell silent, she found herself haunted by a single question. Why do I remember a mother I never had? The palace had once been Edenian, though most no longer remembered. Her home, her true home, had been consumed by Outworld, annexed like so many other realms. Shao Kahn had spared her as a child, raised her as his own, trained her to kill. But truth was a poison, and now it spread. In the scrolls she read in secret, in the faces of the Earthrealm warriors who fought for freedom, not conquest, and in the reflection of her twin, Melina. Created by Shang Tsung, Melina was a mockery, a clone shaped from Kitana's blood and Tarkatan's savagery. Her face mirrored Kitana's until she smiled, and the truth revealed itself in rows of jagged, unnatural teeth. Melina did not question. She obeyed. She craved. Kitana, by contrast, doubted. She walked the gardens of the inner palace now, though nothing bloomed here. The trees were bone, the petals stone. She stood beside a black fountain, watching its waters ripple with the faces of the condemned. Behind her, a voice. You wander far for one so trusted. It was Shang Tsung, ever smiling, ever watching. Kitana turned, her eyes veiled in calm. I was remembering my childhood, she said. The sorcerer tilted his head. Memory is dangerous, especially in a place built on forgetting. She said nothing. He stepped closer. You know, don't you? He asked. Kitana met his gaze, cold and unwavering. I know that a lie repeated long enough becomes law. The sorcerer bowed slightly. Careful, princess. Truth can make enemies. I have enough, she said, then turned and walked away. But as she left, her eyes narrowed. She would find the truth, even if it meant turning against the only father she had ever known. Some fight for glory, others because they were never given a choice. Baraka lived without illusions. He knew what others saw when they looked at him. A monster, a beast, a thing made for slaughter. They called his kind savages, and perhaps they were. But the Tarkatans understood something most in Outworld had forgotten. In a realm ruled by tyrants, survival is the only honor. He stood at the edge of the canyon wall, the campfires of his warband burning below like hungry eyes in the dark. Bone spears, crude blades, flesh armor patched with scavenged metal. His people were not elegant, but they were loyal. Shao Kahn had once crushed the Tarkatans beneath his heel. Then he gave them a taste of blood and called it favor. Baraka had risen because he was willing to bite deeper than the others, to tear, to maim, to lead. And yet he felt it, the unease. This second tournament reeked of sorcery, of games played by gods and devils. Shang Tsung whispered lies. Melina smirked with secrets. And Kitana? Baraka had seen the hesitation in her blade. Still, orders were orders. He would guard the gates as Shao Kahn commanded. No Earthrealm rat would pass without paying in blood. A sound interrupted his thoughts. Soft, quick, deliberate. He turned. A man stepped from the shadows. Not tall, not armored. A smile carved into his face, as if born wearing it. Kano, the Black Dragon mercenary, wore betrayal like perfume. His cybernetic eye glowed faintly red in the gloom. Got a proposition for you, mate, Kano said. Baraka snarled. Speak, or bleed. Kano raised his hands. Easy. I just think you and your boys are getting the short end of the stick. I mean, you're the front line, and you get scraps, while the princess and the sorcerer play politics. Baraka bared his teeth. Tarkatans need no help. No, but you deserve more, and I know how to get it. Imagine, Outworld's new emperor, not Khan, not Shang, you. Silence. Then Baraka's voice, low and dangerous. You speak poison. Kano smirked. I speak profit. Baraka didn't answer, but he didn't kill him either, and that was answer enough. There is no freedom where memory can be stolen. The Lin Kuei temple was built of silence, but even silence remembers. Smoke had not meant to return. He had fled, escaped even, from the cold grasp of the grandmasters, from the relentless obedience forced upon every assassin born under their banner. Yet here he was, not by choice, but command. Not from the clan, from his brother. Kuai Liang had called. Sub-Zero. Smoke would always answer. He moved like vapor through the Outworld camp, unseen by most, barely more than a shimmer in the heat. He had no need for portals. He traveled through places no doors could reach. Vents, mist, shadow. A living ghost. He found Kuai Liang meditating beneath a shattered statue. The statue's face was gone, lost to time, or erased. You shouldn't have come, Kuai Liang said without opening his eyes. Smoke knelt. And yet I'm here. They sat in silence. Then, you fought him, Smoke said. Scorpion. Sub-Zero nodded once. Yes. And? He believes I am my brother. Smoke's breath caught. He doesn't know. I don't think he wants to know. Smoke stood. Then he's blind with hate. That makes him dangerous. No more dangerous than we are, Kuai Liang replied. Smoke's gaze drifted across the camp. Raiden, Liu Kang, and the others were preparing for the first round of matches. The sky above shimmered with blood-red auroras. Magic stirring, waiting to be fed. They'll come for us, he said. They already have. Smoke reached into his cloak, pulling a tiny object. A brass seal, cracked and glowing with cold blue light. The Lin Kuei sent this, a warning, or a promise. Kuai Liang took it, studying the runes. Ancient, mechanical. They're activating the protocol, he whispered. Smoke's jaw clenched. They're turning us into weapons. Sub-Zero's fingers curled around the seal. Not if I destroy the forge. Smoke said nothing for a moment. Then he nodded. We do this together. And in that moment, two brothers born in shadow swore a silent vow. They would defy the machine that made them, or die trying. Every tournament begins the same way, with pain. The arena was not of stone or sand, but of screaming souls fused into obsidian, their faces twisted in endless agony beneath a floor slick with old blood. A gong rang, once, and the tournament began. Earthrealm's warriors stood on the southern platform. Liu Kang, his fists wrapped in calm. Sonya Blade, every muscle wound tight like a tripwire. Johnny Cage, smiling just a little too wide. Jax, stone-faced and silent. Sub-Zero, mist curling from his skin. Smoke, already half gone in shadow. Opposite them, the champions of Outworld gathered like a storm. Baraka snarled through blood-stained fangs. Melina giggled as she caressed her twin Sai. Reptile flicked his tongue, already tasting death in the air. And at the center, Shang Tsung smiled, his soul-hungry eyes watching like a predator behind glass. Shao Kahn's voice cracked the sky. This is not a game. This is judgment. Fight well, or die forgotten. The first match was chosen by flame. A glyph burned into the sky. Liu Kang versus Reptile. The monk stepped forward without a word, his head bowed in prayer. Reptile crouched, already hissing, green venom dripping from his jaws. They circled, then struck. Reptile leapt with feral speed, claws slashing. Liu Kang dodged, countered with a precise spinning kick. Acid hissed against the floor as Reptile missed his mark by inches. Liu Kang's feet blurred, flame trailing behind his strikes. The battle was fast, brutal, beautiful. Reptile vanished, a shimmer of invisibility. The crowd roared. Liu Kang closed his eyes, listened. When Reptile reappeared behind him, claws raised, the monk struck without turning. A burst of fire from his fist that caught his enemy full in the chest. The lizard warrior screamed as flame consumed him. Silence. Then the voice of Shao Kahn echoed again. Victory, Earthrealm. Liu Kang bowed. Reptile lay broken. The next glyph burned. Sonya Blade versus Melina. And this time, the crowd howled for blood. A face is a lie. A mask is a choice. Melina crouched in the center of the ring, coiled and waiting, her twin Sai spinning lazily in her fingers. To the crowd, she appeared regal, nearly identical to Princess Kitana, flawless in poise and grace. But behind the veil, behind the painted lips, lurked the thing Shang Tsung had made. Not born, forged. She remembered fragments, jars of blood, the taste of cold glass, the sound of flesh knitting itself together in screams. He had shaped her from Katana's stolen essence and Tarkatan fury, a mirror cracked and sharpened, and she hated the reflection. Across the arena, Sonya Blade stood tall, her boots blood-stained, her glare like a drawn gun. She didn't flinch, even as Melina slowly peeled back her veil, revealing the horror beneath. Rows of jagged teeth, a mouth too wide, a hunger too old. The crowd recoiled. Sonya did not. The gong sounded. Melina moved first, not with elegance but with wild speed, her blades flashing. Sonya ducked, countered, launched a punishing elbow to the clone's ribs. Melina twisted in midair, landed in a crouch, and spat venom. Sonya rolled, narrowly avoiding it. She fired a burst of energy from her wrist gauntlet. It struck Melina square in the chest. The clone laughed. Then she leapt, and the air itself seemed to rip as her teeth came inches from Sonya's throat. Sonya fought back with military precision, years of battle, years of pain. But Melina didn't fight like a soldier. She fought like something born in the dark, brutal, relentless, gleeful. Blood painted the stones. Then as Sonya pinned her opponent with a grapple, a moment passed. Too brief, too strange. Melina looked up, and for just a second, she hesitated. Her eyes flickered. confused, hollow, almost lonely. Sonia hesitated too. Melina took the opening, slammed her sai into Sonia's shoulder and flung her backward. But she didn't follow. She just stood there, breathing heavily, like someone unsure who they were supposed to be. Shang Tsung's voice hissed from the shadows. "Finish her!" But Melina then turned away. The crowd erupted in chaos. Shao Kahn rose to his feet, fury blooming across his face. "You dare defy me!" Melina knelt, not in surrender, but in pain. Something inside her, something not meant to survive, had awakened. The gods do not weep for mortals, but some learn to fight beside them. Raiden stood atop the obsidian spire, his white robes catching the strange wind that swept across Outworld. Storm clouds churned above him, though no rain fell. Lightning danced quietly across the sky, restrained, not slumbering. Below, chaos brewed. The tournament had begun, and already the rules bent beneath ambition. Scorpion's vendetta, Sub-Zero's silence, Melina's hesitation. Cracks in the ritual, he thought, and through the cracks, blood will pour. Lord Raiden was not like other gods. He had chosen to care, and that made him dangerous. To the elder gods, he was a meddler. To mortals, a guardian. To Shao Kahn, an obstacle. He sensed the moment before he heard the voice. "Still watching from above, Thunder God?" Shang Tsung. The sorcerer emerged from mist, robes immaculate, eyes gleaming with secrets he never earned. Raiden turned slowly, his staff crackling with electricity. "You overreach, sorcerer," Raiden said, "twisting fate in Outworld's name." Shang Tsung smiled. "Fate is a tool, like fire or fear. You've begun shifting the timeline. This tournament was meant to follow rules. Consequences will follow." "Rules!" Tsung echoed with a laugh. "Who enforces them, Raiden?" "The elder gods?" His smile widened. "They sleep while we bleed." Raiden stepped closer. The clouds pulsed behind him. Do not confuse silence with indifference. They watch. Shang Tsung's grin faltered for the briefest instant. Then Raiden continued, voice like low thunder. "I've seen what comes if this tournament is won by Shao Kahn. I've seen realms devoured, lives unmade. I will not allow it." "You are bound," Tsung said coldly. "You cannot interfere." Raiden's eyes glowed, storm white and ancient. "I interfere the moment I speak." Lightning struck nearby, splitting stone. Shang Tsung vanished into mist, leaving only the scent of ash and malice. Raiden turned his gaze to the arena below. He saw Liu Kang meditating. He saw Smoke speaking in hushed tones with Sub-Zero. He saw Kitana, alone in a corridor of bone, watching her reflection tremble. The storm was coming, and Raiden would be its fury. Some warriors fight for glory, others for survival. The next glyph ignited in crimson flame. Baraka versus Johnny Cage. Baraka let out a snarl that rippled through the crowd. The Tarkatan general cracked his wrist blades together with a sound like breaking bones, his yellow eyes fixed on the man in sunglasses standing across from him. Johnny Cage gave a casual shrug, adjusting his jacket. "All right, Fangface, let's dance." The gong sounded. Baraka charged with feral speed, blades whistling through the air. Johnny barely sidestepped in time, the tip of one blade slicing a thin line through his vest. "You owe me a wardrobe, man," he muttered, spinning into a counter kick that landed squarely in Baraka's ribs. The Tarkatan didn't flinch. He spun with unnatural grace and slashed. Johnny ducked, rolled, then launched a flash kick that pushed Baraka back. But only for a heartbeat. The Tarkatan was relentless, slashing in wild arcs, his mouth foaming with anticipation. One blade caught Johnny in the side, drawing blood. The Hollywood star gritted his teeth and backflipped to safety. "Okay," Johnny said, cracking his knuckles. "Time to stop playing." He focused. Green energy surged around his fists. Baraka lunged again, and Johnny unleashed a rising uppercut, exploding with chi. The force of the blow sent Baraka spinning through the air. He crashed to the ground, snarling, but tried to rise. Johnny sprinted forward and delivered a flying kick that slammed into Baraka's chest, pinning him against the arena wall. Silence. Then the gong rang. "Victory, Earthrealm!" Johnny turned to the crowd and bowed with a flourish, despite the blood staining his shirt. Still got it? Sonia crossed her arms. Lucky shot. Johnny winked. You say lucky, I say legendary. Baraka was dragged away, barely conscious, but still breathing. The tournament moved forward, and so did the danger. The tournament is seen by all, but some wars are fought in silence. Night fell across the wastelands of Outworld. The main tournament matches were paused for ritual observance, but the violence did not cease. It only moved elsewhere. In the crumbling corridors beneath the main arena, a figure moved like smoke itself. Silent, precise, unseen. His name was Smoke. Or at least, that was what the Lin Kuei called him. A man turned wraith by his own clan, altered with forbidden technology and infused with vapors that had erased his scent, his warmth, even his memories. He was watching someone, not a combatant, not officially. The figure in black glided through shadow ahead, not walking, but drifting. Smoke watched. Noob Saibot. He was a shade, a void in human shape, his eyes glowing faintly beneath his hood. The other fighters did not know him. They could not see him, but Smoke did. He recognized something in Noob's gait, something familiar. A mission buzzed in Smoke's mind. Observe, record, eliminate only if ordered. He hesitated. Noob Saibot vanished around a corner, not walking faster, but simply gone. And Smoke was alone again, breathing vapors into stone. Elsewhere above, the arena lights flared to life for the next match. But in the shadows near the royal balcony, another silent figure emerged. Jade. She leaned against one of the bone pillars, twin steel bow staffs folded on her back, her green eyes watching Katana from afar. She was not there to fight, not yet, but to decide, loyalty to the throne, or to the truth. Far away on the edge of a crumbling plateau, Liu Kang stood with Raiden. The wind howled through ruins left from some long-forgotten war. You've seen them, Raiden said. The ones who do not belong. Liu Kang nodded. The silent one, the smoke walker, the woman in green. They are not pawns, Raiden said. They are warnings. The tournament is unraveling. Realms bleed into each other. Timelines flicker. And Kintaro? Liu Kang asked. Raiden looked into the stormy sky. When the time comes, I will face him. From the shadows unseen, Noob Saibot stood and watched. He felt something stir in his chest. Not pain, not hate. Recognition. A memory of ice. A name. Sub-Zero. In Outworld, blood is thicker than loyalty, and truth cuts deeper than steel. Kitana walked alone through the halls of Shao Kahn's palace, a fortress carved from stone, bone, and shadow. Banners bearing the Emperor's seal flapped lazily in the stale air. Beneath her royal grace, Kitana's heart trembled with questions. The tournament had changed. Her enemies no longer looked like strangers. Some, like Liu Kang, bore themselves with an honor that unsettled her. Others, like Kung Lao, spoke of Earthrealm not with fear, but with hope. And still, in the pit of her stomach, the ache of knowing something was wrong. Her steps halted as a figure blocked her path. A mirror of herself. Almost. Melina. Teeth too sharp, smile too wide, eyes wild behind the veil. Sister, Melina hissed. Kitana's hand moved slowly to the fan at her hip. Don't call me that. But we are, Melina whispered, circling her. Sisters born of magic and lies. Isn't that what you've always wondered? Why your dreams are full of fire and not memory? Why Father's eyes see through you? Kitana's voice sharpened. Shao Kahn is not my father. Melina's grin stretched. You've always known, but you couldn't bear to say it. Blades whispered from their sheaths. They struck in perfect synchronicity. Steel met steel. Twin fans clashing, spinning, slicing. Melina moved with feral strength, her attacks savage, unrestrained. Kitana was disciplined, graceful, but each blow she parried felt like denying a part of herself. At last she struck true, a slash across Melina's mask. The veil tore. The teeth beneath were monstrous, not human, not Tarkatan. Something between. Melina screamed and vanished into shadow, retreating into the depths of the palace. Kitana stood alone, breath heavy, heart pounding. And Jade watched from a ledge above, still hidden, still silent, but no longer neutral. In the throne room, Shao Kahn sat unmoved. He had heard the clash. He had felt the blades sing. Good. Let the children fight. Let truth bleed from their mouths. The throne would belong only to the strongest. When the mask of civility cracks, the tyrant shows his true face. The great hall of the palace darkened as Shao Kahn rose from his throne. The torches along the walls flickered, dimming as if the very air bent to his rage. Below, trembling courtiers and frightened warriors lowered their eyes. The emperor's mood had shifted. He had heard whispers of Kitana's defiance, of Melina's failure, of Jade's hesitation. Worse, of Raiden's intervention. The god had begun to move not only as a protector, but as a threat. Shao Kahn's voice echoed like a war drum. Summon the beast! The command sent ripples through the air. Moments later, the stone floor shuddered under the weight of what approached. Kintaro, the Shokan warrior, was not like Goro. He was more. A towering wall of muscle and fury, covered in stripes like a tiger, his forearms flexing with primal strength. He bowed only slightly, jaw tight. You summon me, Emperor. Shao Kahn stepped down from the dais. You are my executioner now. These interlopers from Earthrealm insult my realm, my blood, my legacy. You will crush them, one by one. Kintaro bared his fangs. It will be done. But even as he turned to leave, a flash of lightning shattered the far wall of the palace. Raiden entered. The room silenced. Shao Kahn snarled. You have no place here, Thunder God. Raiden's eyes glowed with stormlight. And yet I am here. I warned you. Do not twist the sacred laws of Mortal Kombat. You dare interfere with the will of the realm? Kahn roared. Raiden raised his staff. I defy you, Kahn, and your monster. Kintaro let out a thunderous roar and lunged. The battle was not a match. It was a cataclysm. Lightning met flame. Kintaro's fist shattered stone. Raiden's storm scorched the air. They fought across the palace, through walls and columns, their fury rocking the citadel itself. But in the end, it was not strength that triumphed. It was judgment. Raiden summoned a bolt of divine lightning, not from the sky, but from within himself. It struck Kintaro full in the chest. The Shokan's eyes widened, and then he collapsed in smoke and ash. Shao Kahn screamed, not in grief, but fury. Raiden turned to him. No more puppets, no more monsters. And with another thunderclap, he vanished, leaving the Emperor to stew in his throne. The rules of the tournament were no longer sacred. The war had begun. When destiny looks back, it often wears your face. The pools beneath the Shadow Temple shimmered like glass. Kitana walked alone, her footsteps echoing along the polished obsidian floor. Reflections of torchlight danced beneath her, alongside something else. Her, but not just her. The rippling surface formed two images, one noble, one feral. Kitana and Melina, two sides of the same lie. She knelt by the water, staring into the mirrored surface, listening to the silence. Behind her, a presence stirred. Still chasing ghosts, princess? Kitana did not turn. I chase truth, even if it damns me. Jade stepped from the shadows. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with silent conflict. I've been ordered to watch you, Jade said, to report if you falter or flee. Kitana stood slowly, brushing dust from her royal armor. And will you? Jade hesitated. No. A long silence stretched between them. Then Jade spoke again, softer this time. I saw what Melina has become, what you never were. Whatever they made her from, it's not a sister, it's a weapon. Kitana nodded. I intend to end her, not out of hate, but because she deserves more than what he made her. Then I stand with you, Jade said. Their eyes locked, and trust, long buried, flickered to life. Far above, in a forgotten tower of the arena, smoke crouched in the rafters. He watched the palace burn in places, not with fire, but with doubt. Below, Noob Saibot moved through corridors like ink spilling through a scroll, vanishing when guards approached, reappearing in places he could not have reached by steps. Smoke narrowed his gaze. Something about this shade, the rhythm of his movements, the way he tilted his head after observing battle, it echoed something too close. He whispered a name only once, Bihan. The wind did not answer, but the silence did. In the tournament sanctum, Shang Tsung stood before the dragon altar, his fingers threading through magical sigils. Too many variables, he muttered, too many shadows moving on their own. Behind him, Shao Kahn's footsteps boomed like iron on stone. I warned you, the emperor growled. Control the chaos, or I will feed it to someone who can. Shang Tsung bowed low, but in his mind he was already calculating. Even a puppet can cut the strings, if the knife is sharp enough. Loyalty is a blade, double-edged and always tested. The sky over Outworld dimmed with unnatural clouds. Thunder rolled, not Raiden's, but a deeper, darker sound. The arena was quiet, between sanctioned matches, yet tension wove itself into the air like smoke. Jade stood atop the high wall of the Colosseum, overlooking the blood-stained sand. Her hands rested lightly on the hilts of her twin steel bowstaffs. She had not been summoned. She had not been called. But she had come. Below, Kitana entered the grounds. Her stride measured, her gaze hard. They had chosen this, together. But it would not be easy, because it was not Melina who approached next. It was Shao Kahn himself. The Emperor descended into the arena like a storm falling from the mountain. He carried no hammer, no crown, only his presence, which made the earth seem smaller. You defy me openly now, he said, voice cold. I serve truth, Kitana answered, not a tyrant's fiction. And Jade, he said, looking upward, will she betray me as well? Jade did not flinch, but she did speak. I never served you. I served Outworld, and you are no longer its heart, only its hunger. Shao Kahn roared, and with it, shadows burst from the earth around him. Enchanted guardians, souls he had enslaved, warriors he had consumed. Kitana drew her fans. Jade dropped from the wall in a graceful arc, landing beside her, staff already spinning. The battle began. They fought not for victory, but for judgment. Jade spun and cracked one guardian across the jaw, shattering its spectral mask. Kitana's fans sliced through air and flame, deflecting corrupted blades, opening wounds in darkness itself. But more kept coming. Jade's breath grew short. Kitana's side bled. Then a new presence shimmered between the veils of shadow, a flicker of green. A woman moved, barely visible, striking down one of the ghosts with surgical grace, before vanishing again. Jade. Not the Jade who stood beside Kitana. Another. No words, no face, just a flash of emerald eyes, and then gone. The secret enforcer. Kitana and Jade stood amidst the broken specters, exhausted but alive. Shao Kahn snarled, but did not descend further. He turned and vanished into the smoke, retreating. For now. In the high chambers, Shang Tsung watched the scene through scrying glass, his fingers trembling. So many shadows, so many pieces. Even my sorcery cannot trace them all. Behind him, a low, death-cold voice spoke. You never saw me. Shang Tsung turned too late. Noob Saibot stood behind him, a flicker of nothing in a man's shape, and then was gone. The mirror cracked, and the soul stealer was left alone, breathing fear. The further one walks from the palace, the closer one gets to the truth. Dust curled around Liu Kang's boots as he crossed the barren wastes, the scorched outer rim of Outworld. Winds tore across the land like blades, carving through the silence with 1,000 whispering voices. He had left the arena behind, not in retreat, in search. Somewhere beyond these badlands, beyond the reach of Shao Kahn's gaze, lay a ruin spoken of only in fragments, the Well of Souls. A place older than the tournament, older than even Raiden's warnings. Liu Kang! Kung Lao caught up, panting, his hat tucked under his arm. You're still going through with this? He asked. Liu Kang nodded. There are forces moving beyond the ring. Shang Tsung's magic is stitched into the land, but it draws from something deeper. Kung Lao frowned. You think it's the well? I think it's what feeds it. They walked in silence a while longer. Then the sky darkened, not with clouds, but with figures. 3 silhouettes descended from a ridge, fast, silent, impossible. Lin Kuei. But not as Liu Kang remembered them. One of them moved like fog, appearing and vanishing with each breath. His body left no footprints. His mask pulsed with unnatural life. Smoke. Kung Lao drew his hat. Another assassin? Liu Kang narrowed his eyes. Number A, message Smoke did not speak. He raised a hand and pointed, not at them, but toward the mountains to the west. Then he vanished, consumed by vapor and wind. Liu Kang and Kung Lao exchanged glances. I think we just got our path, Kung Lao said. Miles away in the ruins of a broken shrine, Noob Saibot stood over a scorched medallion, one that once bore the crest of the Lin Kuei. He crushed it beneath his boot and turned toward the dark. He was not following Liu Kang. He was following Smoke, and what Smoke had begun to remember. Some wells give water, others give truth, and some only death. Liu Kang and Kung Lao stood on the edge of the cliff, overlooking a crater that pulsed with faint green light. The Well of Souls yawned beneath them like a wound in the earth, ringed by broken stone, rusted chains, and ancient bones too old to name. Whispers rose from the chasm, not voices, fragments of voices, 1,000 lifetimes lost, trying to speak through the void. Kung Lao shivered. This isn't a place for mortals. Liu Kang knelt beside the rim, placing a hand on the cracked stone. He closed his eyes. The whispers gathered around him, coiling like breath on a mirror. Visions swarmed behind his eyes, a temple falling into ash, a boy taken from his home in the night, a warrior frozen, betrayed by his own brothers, Shang Tsung kneeling before a shape not even he dares name. Liu Kang staggered back, clutching his chest. They're feeding him, he gasped. Kung Lao caught him. Who? The souls, the ones devoured in every tournament. Shang Tsung isn't just stealing life, he's been giving it to someone. Something. Beneath all of this. They turned as a voice echoed from the darkness. You've seen it now, haven't you? Smoke stepped from the mist. His voice was no longer mechanical. It was human, threaded with pain. I didn't remember until I came here, he said. But I saw it too. The day they turned me. The Soul Forge was powered by this place. Liu Kang stepped forward. And who is he, Smoke? The one Shang Tsung serves. Smoke looked down into the well. He has no name, only a promise, that when enough souls are gathered, he will rise. And Shao Kahn? Kung Lao asked. He thinks he rules Outworld, Smoke said, but this place rules him. Suddenly the wind shrieked. From the shadows beyond the crater, something began to climb. Gaunt and impossibly tall, fingers like spears cloaked in writhing mist. It wore no face, only a mask of screaming souls. Smoke shouted, "Run!" They turned and fled, the edge of the world collapsing behind them. Stone cracked, light shrieked. The Well of Souls howled in hunger, and deep below it all, something stirred. Not awake, but watching. Some destinies are inherited, others are seized by will and blade. The arena trembled beneath the weight of expectation. Shadows lengthened as clouds swirled above Outworld sky, casting the stone coliseum into a half-light. The penultimate match had been declared. Kung Lao versus Shang Tsung. It was not what the spectators expected, but Shao Kahn had made the decree. With Raiden's protection still shielding Liu Kang for the final challenge, it would be Kung Lao who must face the sorcerer. He entered the ring quietly, his wide-brimmed steel hat gleaming in the torchlight. Across from him, Shang Tsung stood with a slow, cruel smile curling across his aged features. You are not the champion Earthrealm places its faith in, the sorcerer said. Kung Lao did not blink. I don't need faith, I have skill, and you have stolen your last soul. The gong rang. Shang Tsung moved first, shape-shifting into a towering figure. Goro, his massive arms crashing down toward Kung Lao's head. Kung Lao dodged, rolling low, then spun with his blade hat, slashing the illusion apart. The sorcerer reverted midair, staggering back, snarling. Impressive, Tsung hissed, but tricks are my domain. With a roar, he summoned fire, hurling orbs of green flame that twisted like serpents. Kung Lao deflected one with his spinning hat, then closed the distance. A flying kick connected with the sorcerer's chest, followed by 3 sharp strikes to his ribs. Shang Tsung disappeared in a shimmer, reappearing behind Kung Lao, and struck with a dagger of soul energy. The blade grazed his side and Kung Lao dropped to one knee, gasping. The crowd watched in breathless silence. From the throne above, Shao Kahn leaned forward. Shang Tsung raised his hand for the final blow. "You die as a footnote, monk." But Kung Lao whispered, "No, I die for no one." He rose with sudden fury, spinning his hat along the stone and launching it forward, a blazing arc of steel. Shang Tsung stepped back, but not fast enough. The blade sliced through the sorcerer's side. Blood sprayed the sand. Kung Lao followed with a leaping uppercut, striking Tsung in the jaw, then swept his legs and drove him into the ground. The crowd erupted. Shang Tsung tried to rise, but his strength was gone. The well of souls had weakened him, and Kung Lao in this moment was stronger than fate. The gong sounded. Victory, Kung Lao. Shao Kahn stood slowly. His rage was a storm made flesh. "You may have slain my dog," he said, voice thunderous, "but the throne of Outworld shall be won in blood. Let Earthrealm send its final champion." Deep within the Earthrealm chamber, Liu Kang opened his eyes. Raiden stood before him. "The time has come." When fire meets tyranny, the realm itself holds its breath. The arena had changed. Gone were the torches and audience. The sand was now stone, carved with sigils that pulsed with dark energy. Above, the sky swirled violet and black, as if the very heavens resisted what was to come. Shao Kahn stood at the center, towering in his war armor, helmet gleaming like a crowned skull. His war hammer rested at his side, silent for now, but humming with death. Before him stood Liu Kang, barefoot, calm, eyes fixed. There were no words. None were needed. This was the final battle, the 10th tournament. The one Earthrealm had to win or lose everything. From the shadows beyond the ring, hidden by mist and veil, others watched. Raiden, his expression unreadable. Kitana, her hands clenched. Kung Lao, bruised but standing. And far above, unseen by mortals, the ghost of smoke, flickering. Jade, cloaked, hidden near the gate and behind a broken pillar. Noob Saibot. The gong sounded. Shao Kahn raised his hammer. Liu Kang bowed, then unleashed fire. The first clash was thunder and flame. Shao Kahn charged like a juggernaut, swinging wide. Liu Kang ducked beneath it, struck with a series of blinding punches, and launched a flying kick that echoed across the arena. But Kahn didn't fall. He backhanded Liu Kang across the floor, cracking stone. Blood sprayed from Liu Kang's mouth. "You think you fight for Earthrealm," Kahn growled, "but all realms fall." Liu Kang rose slowly. "Only if we stop standing." He struck again. Fire from his fists, chi from his soul. He leapt, spun, and dragon-flamed, a fiery beast roaring from his hands. Kahn blocked with his hammer, but stumbled. The balance was shifting. Kahn bellowed, swinging his warhammer down. Liu Kang caught the blow with crossed arms. The ground split beneath him. He screamed, the pain immense, but did not fall. And then he answered. With a cry, Liu Kang spun, driving a flaming roundhouse into Shao Kahn's chest. The Emperor staggered. Liu Kang's fist became a blur. Wind, fire, fury. Then came the final strike. A rising uppercut, a dragon-roared battle cry. Shao Kahn flew backward, crashing into the arena wall. The sky above shattered with thunder. Kahn tried to rise. Liu Kang stood over him. "This tournament is over." He turned his back. Kahn lunged one final time, rage unbound. But from the heavens Raiden descended, lightning crackling from his eyes. "No more," the thunder god declared. He struck. Lightning consumed Shao Kahn, not to kill, but to banish. With a scream of pure hatred, the Emperor vanished into darkness. The arena grew quiet. Then, peace. Raiden turned to Liu Kang. "You have done what none before could. Earthrealm is free." Liu Kang fell to his knees, exhausted, the weight of fate released. Victory does not end the war. It only changes the battlefield. The skies over Outworld began to clear. Where once thunder clouds raged, now sunlight, faint and strange, pierced through the violet haze. The Colosseum crumbled behind them, its enchantments undone. What had been a prison of blood and death was now stone and silence. Liu Kang sat beneath a broken arch, the last heat of battle fading from his limbs. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from everything he had held back. Raiden stood nearby, his form almost human in the light. "You carry more than victory," the Thunder God said. "You carry the future." Liu Kang looked up. "We won the tournament, but Shao Kahn is not dead." "No," Raiden agreed, "but his grip is broken. The realms are still separate. That, for now, is enough." Elsewhere in the ruins, Kitana stood amid the shattered throne room, looking out across her realm. What had been hers? What had been twisted? Jade appeared beside her, silent. "We have much to rebuild," Kitana said, "but first we must uncover what remains buried." Beneath the throne, they found the old crypt, and there, beneath layers of stone and bones, a symbol, not of Outworld, but of Edonia, a memory of what once was, and what might be again. Far below the arena, smoke passed through shadows, barely visible, barely real. His mind, fractured, still his own, reached for pieces of the man he had been. He saw a figure watching him from the darkness. Noob Saibot, silent, motionless. Their eyes met. No words were exchanged, just recognition. The past was not finished with them. Back in Earthrealm, Johnny Cage sat in the monastery garden, one leg in a cast, sunglasses cracked. He raised a drink to Jax, who stood beside him. "Remind me never to piss off a Tarkatan again." Jax chuckled. "You did good, Hollywood." They both looked up as Sonya Blade entered the courtyard, bruised but walking. Johnny grinned. "Hey, you miss me?" Sonya rolled her eyes, but didn't say no. In the sanctuary of the White Lotus Society, Kung Lao lit a single candle. "For those who fell," he said, and for a moment he thought he heard the voice of Liu Kang behind him. "We fight so others do not have to." He turned, but he was alone. And high atop a mountain peak, Raiden watched the realms from a precipice. He spoke softly. "This war is only the beginning. There are older shadows that stir. The 10th tournament has ended, but what lies beyond it may yet eclipse all we've faced. A Willem Sapas turte a eget." And in that flash, far beyond the Veil of Realms, a new gate opened, unseen, unheard, but waiting. The end, for now.